Hi YouTube, welcome back to my channel. Hi to my new subscribers, and on this channel we talk about the African diaspora and politics, life, love and music and everything in between. I'm based here in the UK, so a lot of what I say is going to be coming from that particular worldview, okay? So today I wanted to talk a little about the term BAME, the acronym, and give you some idea as to why I'm glad to see the back of it, or will be glad to see the back of it. So if you're unaware, so BAME stands for Black and Minority Ethnic, and it's an acronym that is used to describe ethnic minorities. So the idea being that when you're dealing with issues around your ethnic minorities, you use that to kind of lump everyone together and kind of explain away, or if you're having any particular projects or not incentives at all, but if there's any like reports that need to be drafted and you want to get some demographic data, blah blah blah, and you know you have a minority group, then you lump all these people together and it's called BAME, right? Non-white, non-English, whatever. So my issue with the term is the idea that BAME is somehow some type of homogeneous group. It's a group of unified people that have the same experiences and should therefore be tackled in the same way. Any issues around ethnic minority isms should be tackled in the same way, and it's not a homogeneous group at all, and there is a great deal of discrimination that exists within BAME. So I'm going to talk about a couple, and I'll give you a couple of examples. So example number one would be Southeast Asian, for example, anti-blackness and the racism that many Black, Caribbean and African people have faced right here in the UK from our fellow ethnic minority group. Yeah, so let's say if you go in quite often, not always, so you go into a shop which is owned by an Asian person, often you're followed around right from the get-go by the security. You're not treated with the same level of dignity or even trust. The presumption is that you are somehow a thief or a potential thief, and you're not made to feel any other way, okay? Unless you tackle it, which I've actually done. I've given a shopkeeper my entire list and asked him to do my shopping for me, and I stood and waited at the till until he went around and got all my female products, and I took pleasure in that because I felt like, well, look, if you're going to follow me around. Having said that, I've never been followed around again since, like even in the same shop. They're very nice to me now, so maybe that's the thing, like to deal with it on the spot when it happens. But I've also had other examples of people not even getting into the shop. There was a jewellery store in Tooting, and I think it was my sister at the time pressed the buzzer and everyone's in there just looking and no one's answering the door. Weren't allowed in straight up. And that was South London. I don't live South London. Other issues include the way that Black people are treated in China, and COVID-19 really highlighted this, and I think it kind of went under the radar for a lot of us here in the UK. At the time we were so focused on, firefighting and coming to grips with what's going on here, that many people may have missed the fact that Africans were actually being turfed out onto the streets. They were not being allowed into shops. There was really graphic and very offensive literature on windows and doors, not allowing Black people into shops. And the idea then, and possibly still is now, is that they're disease carriers and they were the ones that were spreading the virus. I know it was discussed on Al Jazeera. You might still be able to find it on YouTube, so you can go and check that out. I mean, it is ironic given the amount of money that China are investing and land they're buying on the continent, for them to then turn around and not treat the African as human beings on their own soil is, it's a bit, it's double standard, but that's what it is. So my issue is that, and the reason I'm glad that that acronym is going, is so that we can actually be real about it, and instead of assuming that all ethnic minorities have this thing in common, which I suppose they're going to say is racism. It's about looking at, well, perhaps the real issue is not just about racism, isn't it? We're living with the legacy of colonialism, which is why you have some Asians with that attitude, and Chinese as well. So, I mean, in trying to understand the Southeast Asian attitude to racism, I think one needs to look back at the 70s and when many were expelled from Uganda, and the legacy of that and the bad feeling that still exists among many of the older generation, which would be passed down to younger generations as well. At the time in Uganda, the Asians were brought there by the English to help to build railways and so on and so forth. But in leaving, they left the Asians there, who then sort of replaced the original colonizer with themselves. So you had issues where they owned everything. They, banks and stores, and they were not paying, allegedly, they were not paying their taxes. They just were not integrating, and Africans were usually servants, and servants that weren't treated very well. They were kicked, they were abused, that kind of thing. Similar in a way to apartheid. It was like a bit of a mild apartheid. So at the time they were expelled, and many went back to India, and many came here. Actually, many came here and started a life here, and have done quite well since then. So they'll have stores and so on. But when you meet together as family and you share your history and stuff like that, I don't know, I'm pretty sure that's a big part of their history, the fact that they were living pretty well in Uganda at the time, and were kicked out and had nothing and had to start again, had to start from scratch. And the perception as well was that Africans didn't have the intelligence to run a shop, or the intelligence to do anything other than serve. There is footage available on YouTube. You can find that. When I've worked out how to upload this stuff on my videos, I will do so, just to give you a bit more background. But that's not true. It wasn't that Africans didn't have the intelligence or ability. They didn't have the opportunity. They were not given that at all. So remember, we've spoken about colonialism before, and it's the idea that you're no good and everything you have is pretty worthless. Ditch that, and we are superior, kind of thing. And it's those ideas of superiority that many of the Southeast Asians brought to Uganda, and many still have today. So I'm glad that we won't have BAME. Maybe we can be real about things and really tackle the issues, and look at equality and look at what the real root cause is. And in some cases it's not just racism. It's not as simple as that. We're dealing with the legacy of colonialism, we're dealing with colonial mentality, and we're dealing with anti-blackness as well. Okay, that's it for now. Peace.